Congress is expected to officially approve a new relief bill later today. Let us bring in Grace Seegers for more on this. She is a CBS News political reporter, because people want to know, like, what's in this thing and when will I be getting my money? Before that, though, the relief bill was also connected to a stopgap spending bill. So why did Congress need to sign a stopgap spending bill last night? And what does that mean for the COVID relief bill?
Well, good morning, Anne Marie. Not only is Congress pushing up against a deadline for relief programs expiring and for people really needing aid before the end of the year, but also the government needs to be funded. So there was a government funding deadline of Friday. Congress passed a 2-day stopgap bill to extend the deadline to Sunday. Then, of course, they didn't get things done by Sunday, so they decided, okay, we need one more day. And so they extended government funding to the end of today. Of course, we haven't actually seen the legislative text yet for this $1.4 trillion funding bill. So members of Congress are likely going to be voting on a bill that they haven't even read. And that is in addition to the $900 billion coronavirus relief bill, which, again, only the framework has been released and not the legislative text.
It just boggles the mind that this pandemic has been going on for so long, and it's still down to the wire, still down to the point where members are not even going to really know exactly what's in the bill, but they have to vote on it because, you know, they got to do something. So let's look at this bill. State officials are getting a boost in COVID aid for testing, tracing, and distribution, all very important. We also saw the rollout of the second vaccine coming from Moderna. Will this aid be enough to help officials who have been begging the federal government to help them control the spread of the coronavirus?
Well, it definitely won't hurt. So state and local governments have been asking for assistance to distribute vaccines to help with taking care of the coronavirus. And yes, the additional several billion dollars will help, especially because it is dedicated to testing, to tracing, to vaccine distribution. But part of the bill that was not included was a provision that was really prioritized by Democrats, which would have been aid specifically dedicated to state and local governments that state and local governments could use as they saw fit. Now, this was a real sticking point in negotiations for the past few months, where Democrats said that they wouldn't move forward on a bill that didn't include direct state and local government funding. Of course, this final bill does not include direct aid for state and local governments, so it seems that they just had to get down to the wire before they agreed to make a compromise on that.
Another area of frustration for many has been aid to small businesses. Were there any concessions made? And I'm hoping that, you know, there were some changes to the policy that would help small businesses fare better than they did with the last bill that, you know, you've seen several stories, a lot of reporting on how a lot of large corporations ended up benefiting big time from the previous stimulus package, and some smaller businesses got left out.
Yeah, so we do see quite a bit of funding dedicated specifically towards assisting small businesses. There was a compromise on behalf of Republicans where liability shields for companies and institutions was a very big priority for Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. And eventually he agreed to have that not included in this section, in this portion of relief aid. But on top of that, we're seeing billions of dollars going to the Paycheck Protection Fund, Paycheck Protection Program, which is intended to aid small businesses. And as you mentioned, last time around, a lot of this aid actually went to large corporations. So now we're seeing a specific amount, $12 billion, going to very small businesses specifically, and specifically to minority-owned businesses. So hopefully having that dedication of funds specifically for these small businesses will make a difference. We're also seeing seeing about $15 billion go to venues and stages and theaters, which, while they may be larger businesses, could really use the assistance. So we're seeing dedication to looking at the arts in a way that we hadn't seen in the previous bill.
One thing that the president really wanted that's included is direct payments to Americans, stimulus checks. He asked for that over the weekend, or tweeted for it. So that's going to happen just like it did during the last stimulus bill, but there's less money this time around.
So yes, for individuals making under $75,000 per year, last time around under the CARES Act, they got $1,200 in direct payments. This time around, it is only $600 in direct payments. But it's slightly more for dependents, because last time around children got $500 per child. This time around, it's $600 per child or dependent. So in some ways, yes, it is half the size, but for families with dependents, it will be slightly more aid.
You know, a lot of experts are saying that this is great, but it's still really just a down payment on the economic recovery that will take months and months and months to happen. Many people have gone without the support that they have needed for many months. They are behind on their rent and other bills. This is most likely the last bill to be passed by Congress on the economy until Joe Biden is sworn in. What does this mean for the incoming Biden administration? What are they going to have to do once they get into office to redirect the economy?
I think everyone agrees, on both Republicans and Democrats, that this is not a permanent solution. This is just a temporary solution. Eventually, Congress will have to pick up the issue of state and local aid, of liability shields. In addition, the extra $300 per week on top of unemployment insurance that was included in this new bill, that only lasts for 10 weeks. So there's going to be another bill, probably, that Congress will have to negotiate. And the difficulty for the incoming Biden administration is that no matter who gains control of the Senate, it is going to be a very slim majority. So after Georgia Senate runoffs on January 5th, if Democrats gain control of the Senate, they are going to have a razor-thin majority, which really gives very little wiggle room for the Biden administration to implement his priorities. And then on top of that, you have a greatly decreased Democratic majority in the House. So there's going to be a very powerful Republican minority in the House. And that will also complicate things, because they will have a big say in what they will not agree to. So with these very tight majorities that you're going to see in Congress, I think it'll be difficult for the incoming Biden administration to implement their priorities very smoothly, because there's just going to be a lot of arguing in Congress, as usual.
As usual. So true. Grace Eagers, thank you so much.
Thank you.